Howdy everybody, in today's video we're going to be putting up some of those newfangled sticky tiles. Wallpapering, which we must admit we weren't sure about at first, but you'll see how we get on as the video unveils.
About 2-3 months ago maybe, we bought some tiles and we just haven't got round to doing it. So they are the self-adhesive tiles, and you can basically just cut them.
You think?
We think, yeah. Let's have a look. Oh, they're really thin.
These are supposed to be the thicker ones as well.
Yeah.
The new and improved thicker ones. We're just not sure, are we? Because
no.
These seem like a good idea because they're very light.
So light, look what you can see, they're like cardboard.
But we don't know if they're going to look rubbish.
Yeah. They look alright, I think they'll be okay.
You can get them in like all sorts of designs. We've just gone for like a really small subway style sort of design. You can see they link together. Just cut the flaps off to make a flat edge.
Flappy.
We realised that we're going to have to scribe it into the wall to start off with because the wall's a little bit squiffed.
Yeah, they're weird. They feel like almost like jelly and almost like sticky-ish. Strange.
Don't know if we like them, do we?
No. They are quite sticky though.
Yeah, very
They
sticky.
are sticky. Don't know.
I guess we do it, and then if it ends up being rubbish, we can always take them off. And with that optimistic thought, I set about making a cardboard template that would scribe into the wall. They're not super easy to work with, but obviously they're a lot quicker than normal tiling. I think if we can get them on, get them looking nice, we can then see how they turn out long term. Essentially, it's just simply a case of getting the end one straight, overlapping the next one, and then the next one. And what I did here was just cut along the bottom of the windowsill with a nice sharp blade. So I'm just going to carry on along here and get the bottom layer done, and then we think about what we're going to do up here, here and here. In some of the key areas I did use a little bit of extra contact adhesive, but for the most part just made do. For this end bit again, I scribed in using a piece of cardboard, then drew around the tile and then cut it out with a pair of sharp scissors. This allowed a really nice tight fit on the end, which is exactly what we needed. Along this wall here, I want it to be a similar height in tiles to what we're coming to here, but not fully, because you can see I've got a piddly bit here. So I'm going to cut down a few sheets to make 2 tiles high, scribe it in the end, and then stick them across. It will be roughly the same height, and then we'll do the same on the pillars over here. The tiles are on, and in this area up here on the pillars, we're actually going to decorate those now, and then we're going to just put a few finishing touches on here just to cover any gaps that we've got, make it look presentable. But they've come out all right actually. I'm quite pleased with them. I mean, they're so thin and light that they obviously conform to the wall quite well. They look quite nice, and they're light. It's the main thing. I don't know what a couple of boxes of tiles would weigh, but it's more than this, clearly. At this point I noticed that we had lots of screw holes to fill, both on this side and the kitchen side. While I'm here as well, I'm going to drill out another hole here for 12 volt. Sounds a bit overkill, so I've already got 12 volt down here, but it means we've got more sockets. More the better really. So I'm just going to drill that out using those CBEs and get this filled. I'm at the stage now which I really dislike because it's like prep and then waiting. I'm going to have to fill all of these holes and then wait for it to dry before we can then wallpaper all of it. But it's still in the prep, isn't it? Now that everything's filled, go and do these 3 bits of wallpaper. And we've gone for some Posh wallpaper. There's Paste the Wall, which I've never used before. So I've made sure it's all smooth and clean. Not very much of a wallpaperer, so we'll see how this goes. Because it's a small footprint, I decided to cut this down on a craft board using a sharp Stanley blade. I then used Paste the Wall adhesive with added PVA. I then used all of my brain power to try and get this end piece correct. So this is what I mean by I make mistakes. It's alright, we've got a spare. We were ready to go. What dingbat, dingbat. At the very edge of our wall here, we've got a tiny piece that I wanted to cut as well. So I added that in exactly the same way. I cut these little, I don't know what you would call it really. It's like a cap. That's not the right one. A dado, a picture rail, trim. Well, I don't know what you'd call it, but I'm just going to go and Osmo oil them, and then we will glue and pin them in place before finishing up with some silicone. Hopefully that will kind of make a nice join between the two. I carefully measured to make sure that this trim was the same height all the way along, and then used some 12mm brads to attach it. I think that looks okay. Right now these next two we'll tape up and seal up. And we'll fill those with some filler. Then broke loose the masking tape to make a line for my silicone. I hate siliconing. Does anyone really enjoy it? It kind of looks alright. The masking saved me for the most part, but I hate it. I hate it. In the bathroom, I got this sanitary sealant, and it was so forgiving, it's so easy to use, but I bought different stuff since, and I don't know why. I bought this because it's extra flexible and it doesn't turn yellow, which is a bonus. But it was really hard to work with, and I hate it, but overall it's finished it off quite nicely, and we're over to the other side now, which is good. I just need to wait till that all dries, and I'll fill those holes and then wipe them over with a wet cloth so it doesn't get dust and everything. But yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Pop a colour. Now we're going to focus on this side. So I am not much of a expert when it comes to wallpapering, so I've done a YouTube watch. It says to draw, well, it says to measure where the central point of the wall is. So I've kind of done that, and then I've ignored it because the rebel that I am. I've actually taken the middle point for here, because then I figured at that end I'll have a little bit of an offcut, this end I'll have a little bit of an offcut. Neither of them really matter that much because that one's behind the sofa, and when it's matched it should look fine anyway. And this end it goes in behind a piece of trim. This bit, the middle bit's the trickiest bit, I hope, because I need to cut it down the pillar, which I'm going to do once it's up with this sharp Stanley blade, and then I need to cut it around the sofa. So yeah, I need to mark the centre point of my paper first. Just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Wish me luck. I always love having a go at DIY, but don't always get it right. So I started off by carefully measuring the height, pasted the wall as the instructions said, and then had a look at the bottom and realised that I'd cut it off too short. So this was a practice. I used this piece of paper later on, cut it correctly, made sure it was central, realised it wasn't, then measured that it was central, so I knew that it was perpendicular with the line, and then I used the sharp Stanley blade to cut it to the shape of the pillar. And I found this actually to be quite a good way of doing it. I got a really nice, neat edge that I was quite pleased with. So I've been going along, this is absolutely not the correct wallpapering technique to use. Really what I should be doing is pattern matching, measuring, cutting. What in reality I'm doing is pattern matching, cutting to and around the furniture that's here. I'm just being careful with the blade, and then that way I've got a really close match. If I measured it, I'd get the same result because you measure it bigger and then obviously score along the edge, but kind of like winging it, but it's working. I've got another tricky bit here where I'm going to have to go around some sockets, so I'm going to take the socket head off and then paper over it and then pull the cables through, I think. So I'm just going to go switch everything off so I don't electrocute myself. No one wants that. Once it was off, I wallpapered over these holes, one which I made earlier, and then cut around them carefully with a very sharp Stanley blade, leaving a nice neat hole that I could put the CBE mount over, and then tidied up the cables with some ferrules. Okay, so they're in. Looking pretty good. We just need to clean up now and a few little things and we're ready to get back on the road. Not bad, I'm pretty pleased with how that's turned out. I love the pattern. We just need to accessorise now. Actually really loving how this sofa works too. You can see this in an earlier video. So yeah, still plenty to do, but we've got it in a really good usable state now and we've got all mod cons, which is mega. We're really pleased with how it's going. And in the very near future, we're going to be making some plush blinds to go up here, as well as our insulated blinds we've already got. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.